In the last tutorial, we talked about init methods, which are also constructors. How about a destructor? When I destroy an object, get rid of it, it goes out of scope. How can I do cleanup? Maybe there are connections to web services, databases you want to close. There's a method called dalloc for deallocation of memory. There's the destructor, and its signature is like this: void dalloc, and within it you can do any cleanup right there. In the init method, we called super classes init method. Should we not be calling super classes dalloc here? No, because you see, it'll tell you, it'll say arc forbids explicit message send of dalloc. Arc is automatic recovery of memory. It automatically allocates and deallocates memory, and we use that in iOS 5 when we created the project. There was a checkbox there, if you noticed, which said use arc. So it automatically is taking care of it. So we don't need to do that. You just want to close your connections and stuff right there on line 60 or beyond, and no need for this one. NSObject has a lot of other useful features in there. How did I know there was a dalloc and alloc and all those stuff? Well, here's NSObject. When I click on it, in this area I can see, I'll click here, quick help, and it tells you a little bit information about it, and says where it's declared in NSObject.h, and reference is right there. So if I just click on the NSObject.h, it opens it up in the editor right there, and you can see everything, all the methods and everything defined in it. It defines a protocol and its object, and we'll see what that is. And the import statements we've seen. We'll look at what the class means. ID, boot is proxy, is mutable copying and coding. And way down where, here's the alloc, you see. In the alloc, we look at what the plus sign means. We've been seeing what the minus means. We know what the minus is. We look at what the plus means. But that's where all the information is. You can basically copy and paste this whole signature and when you want to use it, or the code assist will bring it up. Sometimes you don't know what to do, so you come in here, look at it, then you go back and start typing plus void set, and it'll pop up. Like, for example, if I was to do this here, here are all the set methods that show up. So sometimes you have no idea what to start typing here, so you can go to the NSObject help, and here then the NSObject.h also will take you to the reference from here, NSObject class reference, and also some samples that are available on how to use this. Now if I click on it, it'll open up NSObject class reference right here. If you prefer this method, then you could use that. These are hyperlinks. When you click on it, they are categorized differently. And looking at it, you may be getting a clue what the plus meant. Class methods have a plus next to it. And what are the class methods? We'll look at it. Now we know what the minus means. It's an instance method, and we've been using it. You have to create an instance of a class. What does the plus mean? Plus means it's a class method. Basically what it means is you don't have to create an instance of the class before you can start using it. So if I just make one up, and how do I make one up? Well, you have to go to the .h file and make define your signature, method signature in there. I'm gonna just make it easy, void, and it's called myStatic. It takes no parameters, and then I can come over here and I start typing wrong place. I'm trying to build a method inside a method. You don't do that. I'm gonna just, I highlighted the alloc and pasted it over it, replaced it. So here's your myStatic. Basically what it means is that you don't have to do this. You don't have to create an instance of the customer class. You can just type the name of the class within brackets, customer myStatic. You see, if I just type it, it shows up. It's a class method. I can just call it on the class, just like that. And if it was to return an integer, let's change it. For example, if it returned an integer, for example, and right here it did some calculations or whatever you have, and it returned an integer, then I can capture it. Return int my value is equal to, call the myStatic method on customer, and I can get value without having to create an instance first and then on the instance call the instance method. So that's your static method, how to define it, how to use it, and instance methods, instance methods, how to define them and use them. What about static variables? Unfortunately, Objective-C does not support them. So this is how you make them. You declare a static keyword, then define a string myStatic variable and initialize it, give it a value of nil, then make two static methods, one method to access it, another static method. You see it has a plus sign to it, it's static. It's also it's called class variable. Static is also known as class variable or class method or static, so I don't want to confuse you. Static and class, same thing. So you have a static variable, you have a plus sign, static or class method, another class method to set it, and that's how you just make a check and issue a release and set it to new value and call the retain method on it. So now you have a static variable. So how would you use it? You'll be able to say customer okay, this is what's going on. You also have to define it, the signatures in the header file, before they'll show up in the code assist. So now my static variable, you can access it like that, and in order to set it, you can do set my static variable so that's how you can. Now I'm using it, just calling the class, just using the class name without creating an instance. Now some of you might say that okay, I don't have to, it's easy, I'm gonna make everything static because I don't have to create an instance of it, I can just use it on the class. Excuse me. There are some rules around static variables and static methods. For example, static methods are not inherited. You cannot access instant variables and other static instance methods and instance variables from static methods. And in the initialization of an object, the static variables are initialized, declared first, then the static methods are executed, then the initializers. So there are some rules around static methods. You want to be careful. You have got to have a reason why you want to have a static method, and there are several of them. And when we get in deep into the singleton pattern and all that stuff, then you would need it. But you don't want to create everything static.